Without a doubt, British people's favourite hobby is complaining about the weather. Soy Shandon, profesor nativo de Inglés Británico, y este podcast de inglés es para latinos que quieren dejar de perderse cuando les hablan los nativos y hablar inglés con más confianza. Empecemos. Hello and welcome to episode 40 of my podcast, Mi Diario en Inglés Británico. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the podcast. If you've listened before, welcome back. And if you've listened to every episode so far, you're one of my favourite people. And thank you. Today's episode is about life in Britain. And I want to speak about something that is almost cultural. It's almost a key part of our culture. That thing that I want to speak about is the weather. This might sound strange, but you'll understand as this episode goes on. This is not going to be a boring episode telling you all of the vocabulary for weather. No, that's not this episode. Any podcast that does that will bore you to death. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to speak about British people's relationship with the weather. It's without a doubt our favourite hobby, complaining about the weather. So that's why I want to speak about this today. Why now? The reason I want to speak about this episode right now is because at the moment we're having a mini heat wave in the UK. This is something that happens every year. Once or twice a year, we have a mini heat wave and it gets very hot in the UK. And of course, it's a big change for us when we have a heat wave. During this heat wave, people haven't stopped complaining. So that's why I want to speak about this topic today. And the things that I'm going to cover are what the weather is normally like in the UK, what the weather's been like this past week during the heat wave, why people in the UK like speaking about the weather so much, why they complain so much about the weather, and my own personal thoughts about the weather in the UK. So let's get started. How would I describe the weather in the UK? One way you'll often hear people describe it is bipolar. And it's very accurate because the weather in the UK changes all the time. The UK is not like tropical countries, which have fairly consistent weather throughout the year. No, definitely not. The weather in the UK is very unpredictable. And I'm not speaking about unpredictable day to day. I'm speaking about unpredictable hour to hour. The weather changes all the time in the UK. And often we experience all four seasons, so spring, summer, autumn, and winter, in one single day. We have 4 seasons in the UK. It's not like other places in the world that only have 2 seasons. We have 4 different seasons. But the weather is not consistent in those seasons. For example, at the moment, it's summer in the UK. But we still have lots of rainy days and lots of days that are very cloudy, where we don't really see the sun very much, especially in London. As I said previously, this past week we've been having a heat wave in the UK, and the temperature has got up to 35 degrees. That's 35 degrees Celsius, by the way, and that's very high for the UK. In the UK, when the temperature goes so high, it causes all sorts of disruption. It disrupts transport. So this week there have been lots of delays on public transport, particularly on the tubes and the trains. It also causes disruption in shops. Shops sell out of lots of different items that people want for the hot weather, especially ice cream, ice, and other things to make drinks for the hot weather. And it also disrupts schools. Schools often close when the weather is so hot. I personally don't believe schools should close, but that's something that happens sometimes as well. The UK is not made for this sort of heat. It's made for a very cool temperature, and we really struggle when the temperature gets extreme. I was actually in the south of France at the start of this week. And in the south of France, the temperature is hotter than in the UK. A couple of days, it was 38 degrees in the south of France. But it doesn't feel as hot there. The reason is that the UK often feels very stuffy, particularly London. It feels extremely stuffy and unbearable sometimes in London because there's no breeze. There's no wind, no breeze, and so it's just hot everywhere. So that's a big difference between the UK, particularly London, and other places. It can be a lower temperature, but it can feel hotter here. If you live in the UK, you may have noticed that British people speak about the weather a lot. Why is that? The truth is, I don't know for sure. But I think the reason is that speaking about the weather is easy. It's not a controversial topic. It's a topic where it's hard to upset anyone's feelings. Everyone can see if it's raining or if it's sunny. So there's no differences in opinion about the weather at the moment. It's also a safe topic. It's easy to make small talk with strangers about the weather because it's a safe, easy topic. Many people in the UK feel uncomfortable being in silence, and they would prefer to talk about something that's quite boring, like the weather, than be in silence. So, why do people in the UK complain so much about the weather? That's a very good question. I think the reason is because the weather is so unpredictable, and also because they compare the weather that we have in the UK to other countries. When you compare the UK's weather to countries that have sunshine all the time, it can seem very bad. If we compare the UK to the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, for example, or Cartagena in Colombia, or La Ceiba in Honduras, it seems very, very bad because there's not as much sunshine, there's much more rain, and one of the worst things is that it's often very cloudy, grey, and gloomy in the UK, which isn't very pleasant, especially compared to other countries. But do you want to know my thoughts about the weather in the UK? I try not to pay too much attention to the weather, and I try not to give too much of my thinking or my peace of mind to the weather. The reason is that we can't control the weather. Complaining about the weather doesn't help. It's not like we complain and then the weather says, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'll change and I'll be sunny." That doesn't happen. So we just have to get on with it. The weather isn't going to change because we want it to. We can't control it. People spend so much time complaining about things they can't control in life. And I prefer to give all my energy to the things that I can control. So, yes, I prefer when it's sunny. I love hot weather, but I'm not going to complain when the weather is too hot in the UK or it's too rainy or too cloudy. It is what it is. So I hope you enjoyed this episode about UK weather. Make sure to listen to the episode again to improve even more. Listening more than once will really help your understanding and help you to improve your English. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Gracias por escuchar este episodio. Si vives en el Reino Unido y tu inglés te está frenando profesionalmente, te invito a hacer una evaluación de fluidez conmigo. Durante esta sesión gratuita, veo cómo hablas inglés ahora, identifico qué te está bloqueando y te explico qué necesitas trabajar para expresarte con más claridad y confianza. Las plazas son limitadas. Reserva tu evaluación ahora a través del link en la descripción. Gracias. Bye.